Hello, Professor Anishay. Here I'll present my blog on how I arrived to my sources. It is very brief, as I mostly do lots of reading and note taking whenever I do research. So usually I take 3 steps whenever I do a research paper. So first I do my search based on the theme or research question I want to address. Second, I identified the source, the journal or database, but I also pay close attention to the date of the article, the date when it was published. I aim to find recent ones depending of the theme and the motivation for the research. And then after that, after the 2 assessments, and then I then go ahead and read the article um, in detail. I always start my searching by just doing a keyword search, just so I have an idea of what can I find based on my keyword. I always search the library catalog. So, in my initial search, I just want to see what kind of literature is available, if there are articles or books or other kinds of media. It is very useful that the library catalog provides the peer review information at first glance. So once I see that icon, I feel confident to just open the article and start reading. Um, but obviously, I always focused on the wordings of the titles to see if they fit my theme or my research question. So another thing I like to do is I always check in the JSTOR article database. It's very useful. I've always found very relevant content, especially if it's related to the social sciences. So I always use this one on my searching. So since I first wanted to address the theme of nationalism and nation building in Bangladesh, but later on I read Bina's Da Costa article on the Birangona. I felt more interested in the representation of the figure of the Birangona. So based on that, I changed my keywords to what I thought was more appropriate and related more to the new theme I was interested in. And this interest was sparked by Mukherjee's The Spectral Wound conclusion chapter. um, I must say that the title of her book was it really drawn me into the theme because it talked about the wound, and I found that very interesting. So, as I said, I first focus on the titles to see if the wordings relate to what I'm looking for. If it catches my attention, then I will read the description and the abstract of the paper or article, and then if it does fit what I'm looking for, then I will just start reading and highlighting, making comments. And since I already had Bina's initial article, I'll just try to use her as my reference and see if I can find other points of connection or similar themes on my other articles. So I like to find articles that talk about the same theme but that also contribute something else or provide another angle to the topic. So since I decided to talk about representation and depiction, um, I later on found articles that talk about media or art and that I think are very relevant and help me to craft my research question and how I'm going to address it. So, another example of how I chose my sources is another article by Mukherjee regarding the representation of the Birangona. So I decided to read this one, or like just by reading the abstract, I was very interested in this one because it talked about contemporary Bangladesh. So since this is part of what we need to include in our research essay, how it is relevant nowadays, why it is important, the topic, um, that's why I decided to read this one because it provided that part to my essay. And then just one more example of how I arrived to my sources is the final article I chose, Jasmine Sykes, Beyond the Archive of Silence. So this one was a bit harder to find. I was trying to find something that will focus on the place of the state and also provided a different angle. It was a bit hard to find. I have to read a lot to find an article that fit better what I was trying to convey. And then so I was finally able to find this one that also surprised me because it included the voice of the perpetrators of violence, which my other articles didn't. So this is just overall what I try to do when I do research. So yeah. Okay, so this is all for now. I will continue researching and then crafting my research question and my essay as well. So thank you very much for your attention.